Imagine a world without the dreaded morning traffic jam. No more sitting in a car on the M25 going absolutely nowhere. Forget squeezing onto a packed train, getting far too familiar with a stranger's armpit. Instead, picture this. You walk out your front door, strap on a sleek personal jetpack, and with a gentle whir, you lift off. You are flying. This is not science fiction. This could be the future of how we all get around in the United Kingdom. It is a brilliant, slightly mad idea, but the best ones often are. It promises to completely change our daily lives in every way imaginable. The daily commute, a source of endless misery for millions, would be transformed into an adventure. Instead of the monotonous grey tarmac, your view would be the glorious British skyline. You could soar over the rooftops of London, waving at the Shard as you pass. Or perhaps you would glide gently over the rolling hills of the Yorkshire Dales on your way to the office. The journey to work would no longer be a chore to be endured. It would become the best part of your day, a moment of pure freedom and exhilaration before you even have your first cup of tea. It is a thought that makes you grin, isn't it? This change would not just affect our mood, it would reshape our towns and cities. Think of all the space we dedicate to cars. The vast car parks, the multi-lane motorways, the endless residential streets lined with parked vehicles. With jetpacks, we could reclaim all that space. Car parks could become beautiful green parks. Roads could be narrowed, turned into pedestrian walkways, lined with cafes and trees. Our cities could breathe again, becoming quieter, cleaner, and altogether more pleasant places to live and work. The entire landscape of our urban existence would be fundamentally altered for the better. Of course, this is a massive change. It is not just about swapping a steering wheel for a joystick, it is about rethinking everything we know about personal transport. The familiar rumble of an engine would be replaced by the quiet hum of electric turbines. Our concept of distance and time would shift dramatically. A trip from Manchester to Liverpool would no longer be an hour-long crawl through traffic. It could be a brisk 10-minute flight. This is more than just a new gadget. It is a revolution waiting to happen, one that could redefine what it means to travel in Britain. So, what would it actually feel like, this jetpack-powered freedom? It would be utterly sensational. The moment your feet leave the ground would be a mix of terror and pure joy. A gentle push of a button, a slight lean forward, and you are away. The initial acceleration would press you back slightly, the wind rushing past your face. Unlike being in an aeroplane, cocooned behind glass, this is raw and unfiltered. You would feel the changes in air temperature as you climb higher, and you could smell the scent of morning dew rising from the fields below. It is the closest humans could ever get to being a bird. The control would be incredibly intuitive, almost like an extension of your own body. To go faster, you would lean forward. To slow down or hover, you would straighten up. Turning would be as simple as shifting your weight, carving through the air like a skier on a mountain of clouds. You could perform gentle, sweeping turns over the countryside or execute sharp, nimble maneuvers between designated city air lanes. The sense of control would be immense. You are the pilot, the navigator, and the passenger, all rolled into one. Every journey would be a unique and personal experience, dictated entirely by you. The views would be simply breathtaking. Imagine flying along the Jurassic coast in Dorset, the ancient cliffs and sparkling sea laid out beneath you like a map. Or picture yourself ascending above the clouds on a misty morning, breaking through into the brilliant sunshine while the world below is still asleep. You could visit friends in the Peak District for lunch and be back in London in time for dinner, enjoying an unrivaled scenic route both ways. This is not just travel, it is sightseeing on an epic scale. It turns every single trip into a potential memory of a lifetime. And the sound, or rather the lack of it. Modern jetpacks would likely be powered by quiet, efficient electric turbines. The deafening roar we associate with old movie jetpacks would be gone. Instead, there would be a satisfying, low-frequency hum, a sound you would feel as much as hear. This relative silence would make the experience even more immersive. You could hear the birds singing as you fly over a forest, or the distant chime of a village clock. It would be a peaceful, almost serene way to travel, connecting you with the world around you in a way no car or train ever could. One of the most exciting promises of a jetpack future is the positive impact on our planet. Our current transport systems are major polluters, choking our cities with fumes and contributing to climate change. If our jetpacks were powered by clean, renewable electricity, we could slash our carbon footprint. The air in our cities would become cleaner and healthier to breathe. The constant noisy drone of traffic would fade away, replaced by a much quieter hum. It would be a huge step towards a greener, more sustainable United Kingdom, which is something we should all be excited about. This new form of travel would also grant us an unprecedented level of personal freedom. Your postcode would no longer dictate where you could work or live. You could live in a quiet, rural village in Cornwall and commute to an office in Bristol in under 30 minutes. The geographical lottery would be a thing of the past. This would allow people to live where they are happiest, not just where they can find a job. Families could spread out across the country, knowing that a visit is just a short, easy flight away. It would completely redraw the map of where and how we choose to live our lives. The economy could see a brilliant boost as well. A whole new industry would spring up around designing, building and maintaining these jetpacks. We would need new infrastructure like landing pads and charging stations. We would need skilled technicians and flight instructors. Britain could become a world leader in personal aviation technology, creating thousands of high-tech jobs. Small towns and villages that are currently isolated could become vibrant hubs, easily accessible to all. This revolution in travel could spark a revolution in our national prosperity, spreading wealth beyond the major cities. The pure fun of it should not be underestimated either. Weekends would be transformed. Instead of a long drive to the beach, you could just fly there. Fancy a picnic on top of Snowdon? No problem. A weekend away would no longer involve hours of stressful travel. The journey itself would be part of the holiday. It would encourage us all to be more adventurous, to explore the stunning landscapes our country has to offer. It would bring a sense of playfulness and excitement back into our lives, turning the mundane act of getting from A to B into a source of genuine joy and wonder. Now for the serious bit. As brilliant as this all sounds, there are some rather large hurdles to overcome. The biggest, of course, is safety. What happens if a jetpack malfunctions mid-flight over a busy city? We would need incredibly reliable technology with multiple backup systems and probably a built-in emergency parachute for every pack. The idea of things or people falling out of the sky is, to put it mildly, a bit of a worry. Making this technology foolproof and completely safe for millions of users would be a monumental engineering challenge that cannot be taken lightly. Then there are the rules. We cannot just have everyone flying wherever they please. It would be absolute chaos. We would need a whole new highway code for the skies. There would have to be designated flight lanes, altitude restrictions, and speed limits. Air traffic control would need a massive upgrade to manage millions of individual flyers instead of thousands of planes. There would be questions of privacy too. You would not want people hovering outside your bedroom window. A complex system of regulations would be essential to keep everything orderly and safe for everyone on the ground and in the air. The British weather also has something to say about this. Flying a jetpack in high winds, thick fog, or a torrential downpour does not sound like much fun. In fact, it sounds downright dangerous. Would jetpack travel be a fair weather-only option? This could make it unreliable for essential travel like the daily commute. Technology would have to be developed to make the pack stable and safe to fly in all but the most extreme weather conditions. Otherwise, we might find ourselves back on the crowded trains every time a bit of rain is forecast. So, are jetpacks the future? It is a tantalizing prospect. The vision of a quieter, cleaner, and more connected Britain is incredibly appealing. The sheer, unadulterated joy of personal flight is a powerful dream. However, the practical challenges of safety, regulation, and weather are enormous. It would require a huge investment and a complete shift in our thinking. But we British have always been a nation of innovators and adventurers. If we can solve the problems, the reward would be nothing less than a new age of freedom. It is a bold idea, and I, for one, think it is worth aiming for the sky.